And looks like we're live. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to class. This is J560, Managing Online Public Relations in the Indiana University School of Journalism and Public Relations. My name is Ben Reisinger. Again, I'm the professor. And as always, we're here talking on a Google Plus Hangout. And we have a very special guest with us tonight, a guy that I have followed online for for a long time, actually. And he is the author of this book right here, The Tao of Twitter. We have with us, he is a consultant. He is just a man about the town, and you will find him all over the place. So I'd like to introduce Mark Schaefer. Mark, thank you for being with us, sir.
I'm happy to be here. I love Indiana University. My daughter's actually a graduate of Indiana.
Nice.
So I've spent lots of money at your university.
Right on. This class is actually, it's the Indiana University School of Journalism and PR, but we are actually at Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis. It's called IUPUI in Indianapolis. It's a mixture of both schools that come together. So this is a graduate class again, and most of our students are working professionals in some form of public relations, communications, new media, things like that. And yes, sir, go Hoosiers. And we love your book. I love your book. I love your book. Your book was one of our choices that the students could pick this semester to do a book review on. And you were so gracious as to reach out to me and to let me know that you could talk to us about this. So again, I'll just kind of hand it over to you, and I'll just kind of let you go with whatever you have to tell us, if you want to guide us through the book, or if you have something else that you would like to share with us tonight, sir.
Well, I mean, what I love most of all is answering questions and talking to students. That's what I love about this. And who knows? Maybe one of your questions will end up as a topic for one of my blog posts. That's how I get my ideas for blog posts, is by listening to students and hearing what's on their mind. I don't know if you've read the book or not. I know what it's like to be a college student. Sometimes you read, sometimes you scan. But I would like to tell you a little story about how the book was created, because I think it's a story about the opportunity for personal power that we have in our world today. So I'm also a college teacher. I teach in the grad program at Rutgers University.
Very nice.
And before that, I actually taught at a college here in Tennessee. In 2008, I was teaching one of the first social media marketing classes ever offered. And when we always got to the part about Twitter, everybody would just be confused. And I was just spending so much time trying to explain Twitter, and everybody was frustrated. And I'd try to teach it, and they'd forget. So I created a little handbook. Mm-hmm. And after class one day, one of the students came up to me and said, this handbook is worth the whole price of the class. This book has opened up my business to a whole new world. I said, really? That's interesting. So I started talking to a publisher about it. The publishers actually were courting me to write a book. So I had this idea about writing a small book about Twitter that people could understand, and you could read it in like 90 minutes and kind of get it. What the publisher said was, we don't want you to create a small book. We want you to create a big book, 240 pages, so we can charge a lot of money.
Woo.
I said, no, that makes no sense. Why would we have a big book about Twitter? I'm not going to do it. So I decided to self-publish. And I really didn't know what I was doing, but what the heck. So I got the book out there. It was a different kind of book, because at that point there were several books about Twitter in the marketplace, but they were all very like techie and geeky and just lists of like, what does a mention mean? And as you read in the book, I mean, it took me a long time to understand Twitter. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to write a book so people wouldn't have that same startup curve that I had. So I self-published. And without any marketing, without any advertising, it became the #1 selling book on Twitter in the world.
Awesome.
So then I wrote another book for McGraw-Hill, and they saw that I was right, that people loved the Twitter book, do it. They relaunched it in 2012, and then another edition came out just a few months ago, and that's the edition that you read.
Okay.
Now, the lesson in this, and I think this is a great lesson for our companies, our brands, and also for us as individuals, is that we don't have to wait to be picked today. We are in this amazing time, this powerful time, where the rules about power and influence have changed. It doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, how much money you have. It doesn't matter if you went to Harvard. It doesn't matter what your job title is or what car that you drive. Everybody has the opportunity to pick themselves and find their voice, find their power through content. Everybody can publish. And so that's one of the lessons that I like telling about the book, because I just feel so strongly that if you look at the data, most people don't pick themselves. Most people are lurkers. They're not really active on social media. They're not publishing. Mm-hmm. And I just think it's such an amazing opportunity, and I hope people that will listen and understand that.
No, that's fantastic, and that's really, you hit on a good point, Mark. It's what the class is a lot about. You know, we're teaching how to strategically use public relations along with new media, but in the same time, I'm also trying to help everyone by everyone in the class has to have a WordPress blog and this and that, and we write different length blogs, like 200 words one week, 700 the next week, 400. Sometimes I give them a topic, sometimes I don't. And it's, again, I tell everyone, hey, this is, a great tool for you to showcase your strengths and your highlights, and to get out there. Yes, sir. Let me ask you a quick question. Just if you're all about the questions, I have a list of questions that I have here for you. But my first one is, you were it seemed like you were one of the pioneers of digital media. What was in your mind? What clicked to tell you, hey, this new media thing is here to stay, and it's a great tool to use? What was your aha moment, may I ask?
Well, truly, the aha moment was what I described in the first chapter of the book. It's mm-hmm. kind of that funny story about the swine flu. Because I was working for a metals and mining company. Why did we need Facebook? I thought it was stupid. I wanted nothing to do with social media. And then my career was evolving. I started my own consulting company about 6.5 years ago, and I realized I needed to do this. I needed to immerse myself in this. And honestly, I never used Facebook. I thought Twitter was the stupidest thing I've ever done. I started a blog as a whim, just to see what would happen. And then really my aha moment was, I was bored, and I was hanging out on Twitter one night, and I saw this trending topic that said new name for the swine flu, and I clicked on it, and all these people had all these funny names like the apocalypse, and I realized I was watching a real-time global brainstorming session, mm-hmm. and that just blew me away. I thought, whoa, this couldn't have happened any other time in history. How can we use this for our businesses? How can we use it to find people who love us, people who hate us, people who can help us, people who can create new ideas? And from that moment on, I was inspired, and I haven't looked back.
That's fantastic. It really is. Hey, does anybody from the class have a question for Mark right now? No? Okay, I'll keep going. That's fine with me. And, hey, let me ask you, Mark. Just as graduate students, like I said, most of the students that are in class and students that are going to watch this broadcast are working professionals. What is, in your opinion, one of the best ways? Because I think we've all fought this battle, especially in communications and public relations, where you have this traditional blend and then you have this new media blend. So, in your opinion, what is the best ways to blend your traditional media, radio, television, print, in with this whole new digital realm? Because it's a tricky situation to be in.
I mean that's a great question, and it's a complicated question because, first of all, it's funny that you should ask that because I wrote a book last year called Social Media Explained, and I've just been actually narrating that book for an audio version of the book, and right before I got on this, I was narrating this chapter about all these kind of wacky companies that do they really need to be on social media at all, like a hazardous waste company,
Yeah.
or depend adult diapers. Do they really need to be making YouTube videos?
Right.
So so I think it's a complicated question. I think it varies by industry, by need. I think it varies a lot by how conversational your company is. So I got a new book coming out called the Content Code. It's going to be out in about 3 weeks. And one of the things I talk about in this book is, Facebook reach has really evaporated for a lot of companies.
Without money, right?
Yeah, without money. And but for some companies, Facebook organic reach has gone up.
Okay.
So there is a hierarchy of conversation ability, let's say. So if you work in sports, if you work in TV, if you work in music, entertainment of any kind, if you work in stores, fashion, Facebook is where it's at. If you're working in a place that's selling appliances, chemicals, ball bearings, probably not. I'm not saying that there's not some role, but I think you need to filter and figure out where do we play. I mean, here's the business case for Facebook in one sentence. Come waste time with me. So use that as a filter to figure out, do people want to waste time with us? If you're the Indiana Pacers, yes. If you're the Indianapolis Colts, yes. If you're doing social media for Andrew Luck, you bet. Or now, if you're selling appliances, that's not something you probably talk around the dinner table, unless could you make yourself conversational? I think that's what Red Bull has done, for example. Red Bull, it's an energy beverage, but they've turned themselves into a media company. There's a very famous example, Blend Tech blenders. Will it blend?
Ah, yes.
People don't talk about blenders, but they made it conversational. They made it entertaining. They made it fun. But there's a cost to that. There's a risk to that. So you need to kind of put your company through a filter and figure out, hey, is it part of our culture? First of all, are we a conversational company? What are our competitors doing? Where are our customers getting their information? Do we need to be there? So, there's not a one-size-fits-all answer as far as, how does social media fit in the marketing mix?
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think it depends on your type of brand, like you said, or your business. No, that's fantastic. I see you unmuted there, Jonathan. Do you have a question, buddy?
I just in case I did, I'm actually fascinated listening because it's very good. I mean, because I'm just now grasping. I mean, with this class, I'm really grasping, the social media, the just how critical it really is. So,
Yeah.
hey, sir, a question for you: when did it click? What happened that, what was the situation that you finally said, okay, I got it. This makes sense now. What was it?
Well, we actually talked about that just a few minutes ago. Did you? When he was talking about the when he was on Twitter in chapter 1 of his book, he was talking about the
Yeah.
swine
Okay.
flu. Okay, cool. Or do you have another example, Mark?
Well, I think the other thing that really helped make things click for me from a business perspective was when I started my consulting business. I was kind of using social media as an afterthought.
Okay.
I would blog if I had time. It was kind of, okay, am I going to do it this week? I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. And then after about 9 months, I recognized that all of my business opportunities were coming through my blog. It was the most successful lead generation tool that I had. And another thing happened about that time. As I mentioned, I came from a traditional marketing background. So, what I was trying to do, what I thought was the right thing to do, was to have my marketing message that I'm going to give to my target audience. And when I started my business, I envisioned that my audience I live in Tennessee, that maybe my business would be in Tennessee or in the South. So I started blogging to my target audience with my marketing message, and two things happened. One, nothing happened.
Okay.
Crickets. The second thing that happened was I got bored. I got bored blogging about a target message I thought people wanted to hear. So I started to relax, and I started to write about things that were interesting to me, and I told stories. And if I felt funny, I was funny. And if I was angry, I was angry. If I was confused, I was confused. And that's what flipped the switch. Because instead of me finding my target audience found me. Mm-hmm. The people who were attracted to the way I wrote and the way that I thought and my ethics and my values and my business principles. And what I discovered was my target audience wasn't in Tennessee. My target audience was the world.
That was everyone.
And even today, 60% of the people who read my blog are outside the United States. And I have customers all over the world. I do speak for the world. In the last 12 months, I've been to Japan and Holland and Germany and the UK and Wales, Australia, New Zealand, and so it's been a grand adventure. And I'd never have that opportunity without creating those connections over social media.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's a great point. That's a great point. My aha moment, just to let you guys know, I don't know if I told you this, was Toyota Camry back in the MySpace days. Okay, I was watching television, and I had just gotten on MySpace. It was like 2005, 2006. And I'm old school PR. I thought, oh, this digital thing, no way, man. It's always going to be about calling your reporter and pitching stuff to your reporter. But I remember seeing, I was like, what the heck? Toyota, why are they saying that they have a MySpace page? And it just blew my mind. And at the time, I was working for a vacation home company down in Orlando, Florida. And, it took me a little bit, but I was like, okay. And then I started, it was 2007. We tested it, and we started a MySpace page. That was kind of my moment. I never thought it would go into the business realm, for sure. Anybody else have a question for Mark right now? No?
I kind of have a simple one. At least I hope so. How easy was it for you to go through the self-publishing process? Like, from the concept of wanting to go ahead and write the book until the time that it was actually out? Were there things, I guess what I'm getting at, that you kind of wish that you could have changed because everything evolves so quickly with social media now?
Good question.
Yeah. Well, as far as the time, I've written 5 books now. If you count the 3 different versions of the Twitter book, I've written 7 books. But I've written basically 5 books in 5 years. I have an interesting perspective because my first book was self-published, that then went through a traditional publisher. My next 3 books went through McGraw-Hill. Then the last book I published last year, I self-published, and the new book is coming out in a few weeks. I mean, it's an epic book, an amazing book. I also decided to self-publish, and we can get into those reasons, publish versus self-publish, if you'd like. The timing, I mean, it really depends on size of the book, the scope of the book. The book I wrote last year, Social Media Explained, really out of my speeches and out of my college classes. So it was very easy to write because I was basically kind of writing my classes. The new book that's coming out was very arduous to write because it's an entirely new topic. It took a lot of original thinking, a lot of research, and it took about a year to write. Now, once the book is written, you can publish it in a week. I mean, it's amazing and I use a service called CreateSpace. It's owned by Amazon. It's an excellent process. It walks you through step by step by step and says, do you want to provide a cover or do you want us to do it? Do you want us to design the interior or should we do it? Do you want us to promote it or are you going to do it? So it walks you through it step by step. Now, I mean, I hired an editor, I hired a graphic designer, so I mean, I've got total control of the process. But once you push the publish button, you get all that stuff in there. You've got a book at your doorstep in 2 days, and it's a total print-on-demand model. If you want 1 copy or 1,000 copies, they print it. And for me, I mean, the short story is the publishing industry is just terribly broken right now. You know, up there in Indianapolis, Wiley is up there. They just laid off all their editors. They don't put any support behind the books anymore. So the new book that I have coming out, and this is an interesting PR angle, I actually have 2 corporate sponsors for the book.
Wow.
So they gave, one of them is Dell Computer. They gave me more money to write the book than I would have got from a publisher, and I don't have to pay it back. And so on a published book, I'm making 50 cents. Thank you very much for the Dow of Twitter purchases. I made 50 cents from each of you. So I'll go buy a cup of coffee tonight in celebration. On my self-published books, I make $5, $6, $7 a copy, and I've got enough of an audience that the books sell pretty well. So there's the publishing industry. It's a very, very difficult industry, but from a PR standpoint, I kind of have a PR agreement now with these 2 companies that they're going to show. I'm going to have their sponsorship. It's like patronage. It's like me. I'm a medieval artist now. I can't make money from these stupid publishing companies, so I'm going to find corporate patrons just like Michelangelo. That's what I'm doing. I've got to find another way forward.
Wow.
Was that too much of an answer or not enough?
No, I mean, like I said, I kind of went about it in a roundabout way, but yeah, definitely. I had no idea that you could actually go through the publishing process in that short amount of time. It doesn't surprise me, but 2 to 3 days was definitely not what I was expecting.
Yeah, once you have the book written, and it's funny because getting a paper book is relatively easy. Getting it on the Kindle is more complicated because Kindle, you've got to format it a certain way so that it looks good on a device this big and this big and this big and this direction and this direction. So Kindle is a bit more complicated. But yeah, the self-publishing process it's really pretty simple.
I never thought about what you were saying about the having to be mobile optimized for a book. I think about that for websites and things like that, but I never thought about that for a book. Wow.
Yeah, it's really hard. Really, I hire somebody to do it.
That's a good. Yeah, I would too. I wouldn't want to mess with that.
Yeah.
Hey, it's 6:31, Mark, and we're going to let you go here. I have one final question, please, sir, for you, and I love to always ask our guests this. What is your favorite new media or social media handle for personal use, and why? And what do you do on it?
Yeah, are you like what platform?
Yeah, what platform? Yeah, for personal use. Like
you asked me what my favorite platform.
I'm sorry? Oh, I think we've lost Mark. Oh, he's back.
Can you hear me?
Hey, we can hear you now, buddy.
Okay. So you're asking me like my favorite platform now?
Mm-hmm. For personal use.
Yeah. Well, I don't do. I mean, you know what? Here's the sad answer. I don't really do anything for personal use.
Okay.
I mean, I have fun. I mean, I have fun with everything that I do. I have fun on Twitter. I have fun on Facebook. I love to blog. I love to write. I do a little bit on YouTube. But because I'm in marketing and I am a brand, I mean, basically everything I do is on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's people. They're my readers. I know this sounds really weird because I'm just a guy with a blog. But when I go to conferences, I mean, people accost me. They want me to autograph books. And so I'm a celebrity in a very small little niche. So I have to watch what I say. I have to watch what I do. I have to watch what I publish. So really, anywhere I go on the social web, I'm kind of, a personality. I have to watch what I do, but I have fun with it all. I love blogging most of all. It's a great creative outlet, and it's a challenge. It's an intellectual challenge. It's a creative challenge. When people comment on my blog, I feel like it's Christmas every day. People are giving me little gifts of their ideas and their comments, and so I probably like blogging most of all.
All right, fantastic.
Well, thanks for having me, and I hope you guys will stay connected with me, follow me on Twitter, and find my blog, and stop by and say hi every now and then.
Hey, we will, and if you want to follow us, you can follow the hashtag J560. So thank you again for being with us. It's been great to talk with you, and I don't know if everybody did, but again, here is the book that we were looking at for class, The Tao of Twitter. It's an awesome book. Thanks a lot, Mark.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
All right.